I am so excited about this, folks. Paul Revere's Ride, one of the greatest poems in American history by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. We did a contest for students to memorize the whole poem. We got so many entries, it would take you literally a day to watch all of the entries. So we compiled them into a single video. I just love this. These kids were fantastic. It makes me want to be more patriotic. Watch for yourself.
Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere.
On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive
who remembers that famous day in the
He said to his friend, "If the British march by land or sea from the town tonight,
hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church Tower, a signal light, one if by land,
and two if by sea.
And I on the opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread the alarm
through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folks to get up and cheer on."
Then he said good night and with muffled oar
pressed out the road to the Charlestown shore.
Just as the moon was over the bay, and swinging wide at her mowing lay,
the Somerset, British man of war, a phantom ship with each mast and spar,
across the moon like a prison bar,
a huge black hulk that was magnified
by its own reflection in the tide.
Meanwhile, his friend through alley and street
wanders and watches with eager ears,
till in the silence around him he hears
the mustering of men at the barrack door,
the sound of arms and the tramp of feet, and
the measured tread of the grenadiers
marching down to their boats on the shore.
Then he climbed to the tower of the old North Church, by the wooden stairs with stealthy tread,
to the belfry chamber overhead,
and startled the pigeons from their perch on the somber rafters that round him made masses and moving shapes of shade.
By the trembling ladder, steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall,
where he paused to listen and look down.
A moment on the roofs of the town, and the moonlight flowing over all.
Beneath in the churchyard lay the dead,
in the night encampment on the hill, wrapped in the silence, so deep and still
that he could hear like a sentinel's tread the watchful night wind as it went, creeping along from tent to tent, and seeming to whisper,
"All is well."
A moment only he feels the spell, and placed the hour, the secret gem, the lonely belfry, and the dead.
For suddenly all his thoughts are bent on a shadowy something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay.
A line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide,
like a bridge of boats.
Meanwhile, impatient to fall ride,
booted and spurred with a heavy stride. On the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse's side.
Now he gazed at the landscape far and near, then impetuous, stamped the earth,
and turned and tightened his saddle girth. But mostly he watched with eager search
the belfry tower of the old North Church, as it rose above the graves on the hill, lonely and spectral and somber and still.
And lo, as he looks on the belfry's height, a glimmer and then a gleam of light.
He springs to the saddle, the bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes till full on his sight.
A second lamp in the belfry yard.
A hurry of hoofs in a village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, and beneath from the pebbles and passing a spark.
Struck out by that steep pine fearless and fleet.
That was all. And yet,
through gloom and gleam, the fate of a nation was riding at it.
And that spark struck out by that steed in his flight kindled the land into flame with its heat.
He has left the village and mounted the steep, and beneath him, tranquil and broad and deep,
is the mystic, leading to ocean tides. Under the alders that skirts its edge,
now soft in the sand, now bad on the ledge,
is heard the tramp of his steed as he rides.
It was 12 by the village clock. When he crossed the bridge into Medford town, he could hear the crowing of the cock,
and the barking of the farmer's dog,
and felt the damp of the river fog that rises when the sun goes down.
It was 1 by the village clock. When he galloped into Lexington,
he saw the gilded weathercock swim in the moonlight as he passed, and the meeting-house windows, blank and bare, gaze at him
with a spectral glare,
as if they were so aghast the floating world they would look upon.
It was 2 by the village clock, when he came to the bridge in Concord town, and heard the bleating of the flock and the twitter of the birds among the trees.
He felt the breath of the morning breeze blowing over the meadow ground, and one was safe and asleep in his bed.
Who at the bridge would be first to fall?
Who that day would be lying dead, pierced by British musket ball?
You know the rest in books you've read. How the British regulars fired and fled. How the farmers gave them ball for ball.
From behind each fence and farmyard wall, chasing the redcoats down the lane,
And crossing the fields to emerge again.
Under the trees at the turn of the road, only pausing to fire and load.
So through the night rode Paul Revere.
And so through the night went his cry of alarm.
To every Middlesex village and farm.
Cry of defiance.
And not of fear. A voice in the darkness, a knock at the door.
And a word that shall echo forevermore.
For born on that night wind of the past, through all our history, to the last.
In the hour of darkness and peril and need,
The people awaken and listen to hear the hurrying hoofbeats of that steed. Midnight message.
Of Paul Revere.
That's all, folks.